All right, pre-AP chemistry, this is your lesson over how to multiply and divide with sig figs. And so essentially, a lot of the steps are the same as adding and subtracting, but there's some fundamental differences. So I'm gonna work a few examples and make sure y'all understand them and grasp the concept. And then I have a few for y'all to do in the PowerPoint on your own to let me see if you are grasping that concept. I'll have one set that you will have the answers to next, so you can kind of check for yourself. And then I'll have a second set that doesn't have the answers, just in case some of y'all like to just change your answers to the correct one. So that way I can have some honest feedback, and you can also have some honest feedback if you're getting it or not. So the first one that we have in the example in the notes is 49.600 divided by 47.4. And so let's go ahead and talk about first all the ways that we could write this, and then we're going to talk about how we plug it into our calculator before we even start solving. And so this is one way to write division problems. Another way to write this division problem is 49.600 would be inside of your house, and the 47.40 would go on the outside. Okay, that's another way you could write it. Another way you could write it is 49.600, and then this divide sign, 47.40. These all literally mean the same thing. It's just different ways to write division. And so how you're going to do it every single time is this top number goes into your calculator first. So you're going to type in 49.6. Then you're going to hit your divide sign, and then you're going to type in the second number, and then you're going to hit enter. If you have a house, what's inside the house goes first, what's outside the house goes second. And this one, you just do it literally in order that you read left to right. This number goes in the calculator first, then your divide sign, and then the number. So hopefully you see that you're still entering it into the calculator the same way every time. And if you are confused about that, you can always pause, rewind, and watch this over and over again until you know how to enter division into the calculator. So that being said, now we're going to actually talk about sig figs for it. And so whenever I'm looking at these, the rule for multiplying and dividing is just the least number of sig figs. So it doesn't matter about decimal places, it's just sig figs. And so first of all, we're going to say how many sig figs does 49.6 have? And so I'm going to look over here, and guess what? The 4 counts, the 9 counts, and the 6 counts. And these ending zeros count because there's a decimal. So in total, this has 5 sig figs. This one has the 4, the 7, and the 4, and this one also is the ending 0, and there's a decimal, so they all count. This one has 4 sig figs. So because this one has fewer sig figs, our answer can only have, oh, y'all can't see that. Your answer can only have 4 sig figs because this one only has 4 sig figs. Okay, and so we're going to do the math like normal now. So I'm going to take in my calculator, and I'm going to type it, and when I do, I get this answer right here. So y'all can all see my work. I typed in the 49.6 first, then the divide sign, the 47.4. It spits out this super long number. So I'm going to go ahead and write a couple of them down. I want to make sure I get at least 5 sig figs in, and we'll talk about why. So my calculator says, as you could see, this is equal to 1.0464, and then I'll go ahead and do the 1 just to be safe. Okay, so I'll move that back over. So now we're going to count, and remember, we only want 4 sig figs because this guy's limiting us with 4 sig figs. So I'm going to go over and say 1. This guy counts because he's sandwiched. 2, 3, 4. So I stop. So this is my last one. So I'm going to look at the most previous one beside that, and we're going to use that to round. So it's going to make it round, stay the same. So rounding down, essentially. And so this will be our answer for that first example. So hopefully everybody's understanding why. If not, I'm going to work some other ones that are hopefully as helpful, if not more helpful. So again, it doesn't matter about the decimal places. So see how this one had 3 decimal places and this one only had 2? Our answer doesn't only have to have 2. What's limiting us this time is sig figs. So this one is 4 and this one's 5, so my answer can only have 4 sig figs. So hopefully you can see the difference, because in adding and subtracting, if this one only went to 2 decimals, then this one could only go to 2 decimals. That's for adding and subtracting, not multiplying and dividing. Okay, and so we're going to do another example. So I'm going to say this time we'll take 101.6 and let's divide it by, we'll go 32. Okay? So now let's talk about this. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4 sig figs. and this one only has 2 sig figs. So our answer can only have 2 sig figs. Why? Because this one only has 2 sig figs. It doesn't matter where the decimal's at, it just matters about sig figs. So then I'm going to type in my calculator, and I'm going to do 101.6 first, divided by 32. And so that's what it looks like in my calculator. And then I'm going to hit enter, and then I get 3.175. So then right here, I have 3.175. And so this 1 is our last number that we can count because we only want 2 sig figs. So I'm going to look at the 7 to see if it rounds, and it does. So my answer is actually going to be 3.2. Okay? So that's 2 examples, and they're both division, multiplications the same way. So then if we did multiplication, which this one's always fun too, we're going to do, let's say, 55.0, and we're going to multiply it by 7.6. So then I'm still going to look at sig figs. I'm still going to look at sig figs first. So I'm going to say this one has 1, 2, 3 sig figs. That 0 counts because there's a decimal. And this one has 2 sig figs. So 3 and 2. So that means that 2 is my limiting one. So that means my answer can only have 2 right there. So in my calculator, I'm going to enter it. I'm going to say 55 times 7.6 equals, and then I get 418. So then I'm going to do 418. Okay, and so then my cutoff is the 1. So I'm going to look to the previous number for rounding. So my answer is actually going to be 420. All right, y'all, that's 7 minutes of work, of me working examples. That's 3 examples for you. I hope you got it. If you don't, message me, and we can always privately Zoom. We can do something to try to help you out, okay? Y'all have a good day, and it's weird not seeing you today on this Thursday, but I hope it's a good day for y'all, and good luck. Y'all do have homework over this. It's not going to be due until Monday, though, so that way if there are some questions on Monday, you can definitely ask and get that help that you need before submitting it, okay?